So just some background, and you can refer back to that email as well, which has some information that I'll repeat today just for clarity. We're rolling this out to make sure that we're being especially thorough in getting ongoing regular feedback from families so that we can enhance service as necessary and just make sure we're in tune with that feedback. A lot of the variables that we collect data on regularly actually don't capture the feelings of families and their responses to our service. We have the annual family survey, which we've been doing really well. And Shannon worked so hard to get the response rate on up last year, but that doesn't capture how we're doing throughout the year. So we need some way to make sure we're in tune to the feelings of our family. And really that's a top priority. So that's the goal here. And we did consider how to best do that and everybody affected in that process. And this is what we decided. So with that said, I'll just get into it a little bit. As you know, the EIRAs and vendors who are responsible for the AEPS assessments will be administering this survey alongside the AEPS. So the trainings will be for those people, but anyone interested in learning about the process can attend those trainings, which I'll share the dates again at the end of my spiel here. So as this is administered, it should just add on 5 or 10 minutes to the AEPS administration with just 4 survey questions. Those survey questions come from the instrument we do use in the annual survey because that's a valid and reliable instrument. So we didn't want to create anything out of thin air. We wanted to use some tools that are evidence-based so that we can know that our information is valid and with a tested instrument. So we did pilot it with 4 EIRAs, and any of you are welcome to speak and share. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm happy to hear from you, and I'm sure others would be too if you want to share about how that went. We're in the process of compiling their feedback on the process before we get to the trainings for everyone else to make sure that it runs smoothly when we roll it out for everyone in October. So the survey questions, just if you're curious, are the Likert scale just on the annual family, just like on the annual family survey. Parents will respond to, we are able to help our child get along with others. We are able to help our child learn new skills. We're able to help our child take care of his or her needs. And we are able to work on our child's goals during everyday routines. And they indicate the extent to which they agree with that statement. And those, again, are taken from side A, which we use side B of the family outcomes survey when we do the annual. And so the monthly sort of progress monitoring for this will be those items taken from side A. So with that said, I think it's best if I just open up to questions now so that I can help you and understand what it is, what clarification is needed from the group. I see one question asking to repeat the items. Is that correct? Repeat the question? I think that's what that means. Can you repeat those or list them here? If that is the case, I can paste them right into the chat.
I can read those chat ones for you, Dr. Schaefer, if you want that.
Sure.
So with the family survey, we were curious if there could be a way to track ongoing developmental therapy families versus families only seen for developmental assessment to see if families receiving DT feel their needs are being met more frequently.
That's a good question. Yes, we can. So I need to look into exactly how that would work. I will come back get back to you guys with a response to that. Yeah, the answer is yes. I need to think about what that would look like for getting that data.
And I will copy all of these questions from the chat, so we will have those if we need to provide any other guidance after that.
Thank
The
you.
next question is, our center-based developmental therapy providers are also administering the AEPS. Would they also complete this survey?
Say that one more time, Jill.
Our center-based developmental therapy providers are also administering the AEPS. Would they also complete this survey? Yes.
Yes. Yes. I see. Yep.
The yearly survey responses are based on all of early intervention, not a specific discipline. Is that true for this survey as well?
Yes.
Is this a form stack survey?
Yes, it is. I will paste that in the chat. Yes, there you go.
There is a question about the webinar being recorded for the family survey, in case there are any staff that are not able to attend for whatever reason, or there needs to be some refresher. I don't think that's a problem to do that. Do you, Dr. Schaefer?
No, Shannon is going to record the last training.
Okay.
It'll be available.
Another question is that in the PowerPoint, it says to complete for 6 months and annual AEPS, but on the form stack, there's a checkbox for initial. Can you clarify, should these be done for initial AEPS as well?
Yes, this should be administered every time the AEPS is administered. We don't want to get into you just administer this. Sometimes when you're giving the AEPS, you want it to be consistent. Every single time the AEPS is administered, these questions will be asked alongside. That's why that box is there for initial. I will go back to that PowerPoint and make sure that is clear for the training.
Okay, just a minute. I'm going through chat.
I do see the comment from the pilot experience that the questions were only taking a minute or two and that there have not been any major issues. That experience has been really valuable for us in the development of this tool and making sure that it can be rolled out smoothly. So we do feel confident that it won't be a huge burden and that it will return important information that's valuable in the decisions we make for service. The question about do families, I see this one, Jill, do families fill out the answers themselves? So obviously times are a little weird with COVID. The questions can be read to the family, the device can be shared if you're in person. It can really happen multiple ways right now. When face-to-face visits resume, either the EI or the parent can complete the questions using the EI's device if that's what the parent prefers. The EI or vendor completing the AEPS can complete the top section on their own, all the way down to where it asks about the service coordinator's email, and then the questions will have to be completed by the EI or the vendor before face-to-face visits resume by reading them aloud to the family. That's how it will work for now. A PowerPoint was not sent out to everyone. I don't believe the PowerPoint was sent out. It was not attached to our email. That you'll receive that following your training. It can be sent out to everyone once the trainings have been completed, or ahead of time is fine. We want to make sure with points of clarification that we clean those up before we send it out, which is what we've been working on with the pilot group.
This is a comment from a pilot as well. Screen sharing has worked well, and parents seem to better understand the statements when they can see them. That's really good input. Thank you.
I see the question about the trainings. The trainings occur on Tuesday, September, I'll put this in the chat as well, Tuesday, September 29th from 11:30 to 12:30, Wednesday, September 30th from 5:30 to 6:30, Thursday, October 1st, 2 to 3, Monday, October 5th from 9 to 10. You only need to choose one of those. And they are in the chat for you. And if you need the WebEx information, I can pass that along as well for each of those.
And Dr. Schaefer, can you confirm what the surveys are translated into?
Yes, Spanish, Arabic. I will have to get back to you. I cannot remember the others. I see the comment about the WebEx information. I will get that. Oh, 13 languages. That's why I can't remember all of them. So we have it pretty comprehensive set of surveys in multiple languages.
And those are accessible through?
The form stack
Okay.
link.
Okay, just want to make sure. If there's any individuals from the pilot that would like to speak, that would probably be greatly appreciated by those who will be rolling this out pretty soon.
Hi, I'm Rosario Langlois from First Steps. All my environmental therapists have piloted the survey for the last week and a half, and I have done about 5 or 6 vendor assessments. Actually is pretty easy, is more of a conversation. The best results I had was when I was sharing the screen and the parent could read, and I also could read the questions to them. One of the wonderful experience we had is an Arabic family, Arabic speaking family. We had the interpreter check the translation, and everything was run smoothly. So we had pretty good experiences so far.
Thank you, Rosario.
Yes, thank you for sharing. I'm glad to hear that and that you shared that with the group. We are aware that this is another thing and we're trying to minimize it, but of course, getting information from the families is super important. So we are balancing all priorities with that one in mind. So we so appreciate the feedback from the pilot group and smoothing out this whole process. I think that it will be pretty painless once we get going. Any other questions?
Not seeing anything else in the chat. So just to confirm, in the email that went out, Dr. Schaefer, with those dates and times, was all the information in there for them to be able to participate in those?
Yes, I'm putting in the chat right now.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Oh, that's a lot.
Was that what you meant? There's the WebEx info?
Yes, yes, and I think we did have someone who asked for that. There was a question, because this will happen, there's a lot going on. If an EI forgets to do this, do we call back or do we let it go? You're muted, Dr. Schaefer.
There we go. Yeah, sorry, I got temporarily disconnected. I'm back. Did you ask me a question?
Yes. If an EI forgets to do this, it happens to everybody, Do we call
Yeah.
that or let it go?
Well, I think an attempt to call back would be nice. We just won't have missing data that way. And, you know, when we have too many missing data points, it really can affect our results. But obviously, you'll probably want to use your own judgment on that. I don't want to issue any kind of directive. Just if you could make an honest effort to get the information, that would be great. I know we all want to make sure we're serving families the best we can. So just my opinion on this would be make every effort to get it. And I don't think it should be that you should be panicking, though, if some things happen. I understand that. If we can just do our best to get it, I think any data is good.
And you know, one of the reasons, there's lots of reasons for doing things, but one of the reasons for collecting this is so that we've got some data on the services that we can pull from more than just, you know, we kind of have that 6 month, you know, it's something that we can pull pretty quickly. It's what we can look at. We can make changes a little bit more in real time. It's not exactly like that. But it also gives us information to provide to other departments, colleagues, to say this is what we're doing, this is what we're working on, this is how families are feeling about this. And so it's just another tool to support the services that we're providing and make changes that are going to be more of a support for families.
I'll just add to that, Jill, that for everybody, just for context, the data and operations team has been working to figure out which variables we want to collect monthly and annually, and what these sets of variables, what kind of picture they paint and what we're able to capture. And when we looked at the set that we had been pulling and we added things to it, we finally just recently collected for all fiscal year 2020. We looked at the picture that painted, and what was missing was input from families. So this is the best way we figured out to capture that throughout the year. I'm so grateful to you guys for helping us get it. But just know that that was I've realized recently is really important to provide context when sharing ideas and what's happening. So I don't want to accidentally leave out important information that helps you map this on to the larger goal. But when we looked at our items, when we have things like timely service, or we have data on referrals and eligibility, all of that reflects how we're operating, but we don't have much from families. So this is getting at that goal, and we'll continue to think about other ways to get that information, and we'll always think about how to do that as efficiently and effectively as possible, and your experience and everybody involved in getting that information. But just so you know, that is how this came about, if that's helpful.
There is a question, once in-person resumes, how will survey be completed if no internet available? This is definitely something that we know we're going to have to consider. We are going to keep that on our radar so that we know that some adjustments will need to be made when that occurs, but we don't have any estimation on when that's going to occur at this time.
Also, when you're in the trainings with Shannon, and I'll be in some of them, there will be more robust discussions on exactly what the data will tell us, and it will be clear. There will be clarification on concerns as well. I think there's maybe some anxiety about how they'll be used or what items reflect. So that will be discussed in more detail in the training as well, just FYI. I do see the comment about the questions being a little awkward in the initial. I totally get that. I think it's important for us to have a baseline, though. So my response to that would be if you could power through and just ask them to answer the question as best they can and not stress about it.
Okay, that's all the questions we have in the chat. So if there are any more or anyone who would like to vocally have a question, here's one. Do we need consent from parents since the form has the child's name?
I'm working on getting confirmation on this. So I'm not sure what the consent forms look like for EIRA when going into the AEPS assessment, and maybe Jill and Joan, you have thoughts on this. I will have to figure that out. I think it may be encompassed in your current consent forms, but Jill and Joan, if you want to weigh in.
We'll confirm on that one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think we'll have to review that, but I would hope it would be included in that existing consent form.
Anyone else? Okay, if you think of any questions, please, you can submit those to the chat. Again, I will be copying those and pasting those in a Word document so that we have those to review after this meeting. I'll be sending those to the rest of the leadership team, or you can email those to me. I will be happy to forward those on to leadership as well. So
thank you, everybody.
I'm sorry. Oh, thank you, Dr. Saper.
Thank you.
I had a couple of emails within yesterday, not necessarily with questions, but just with comments about, we hope this will be discussed. So, and they were very, they were pretty much all the same. So one of the questions was to not only discuss this new survey, but to discuss the information, the guidance that came out last week related to in-person services for the EIRAs for center-based services. This is guidance that is very much in alignment with other DIDD guidance for similar services. So we are making sure that we are staying in alignment with that. Again, these are for center-based services, center-based providers only at this time. We do not have an estimation of when face-to-face will return. Right now, we are just looking at center-based to be in that type of environment. And those agencies providing center-based do not have to submit their plans to EIS. We can request them at any time, but they are not required to be sent to be reviewed for approval to begin face-to-face. They just have to ensure that their policies and procedures meet the guidelines and the requirements within those guidelines. The only requirement for agencies is that they notify me of when they are going to be starting. So we have a record of when that is occurring. Does anybody have questions about the guidance, or just questions in general related to this type of guidance? And if you want to write them in the chat, that is fine as well. CDC guidance changes frequently. As new recommendations are released, will this guidance be updated? This is certainly a document that we will be looking at ongoing, but one of the reasons that why we put in the links and said to make sure that that agencies are meeting CDC requirements is because they do change frequently. We did not want to put very specific guidance that would require us to constantly be monitoring this document when those authorities like the CDC make those changes. So as long as agencies are up to date and they're following that, that's their responsibility as an agency. We are just providing them with the links and the information to know how to access that. But we did not want this to be a document that would be outdated as soon as we send it out. And that's why we put in those links to those entities because we know that they are going to change. This will be a very short call if we don't have any other questions. Joan, do you have any comments? I didn't open it up to that in the very beginning because I didn't know how long. I wanted to make sure we had enough time for everything, but since we've got more time, I wanted to see if you had any comments.
I do not. I appreciate everybody being here though, and having an opportunity to talk with all of you.
Lauren Legate, do you have any updates from the communications world?
Hey guys, good morning. No updates. We're just chugging along, all the things. We are having our family WebEx next Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. We would love for current families, prospective families, anyone who wants to know more about our program to join us. The commissioner will be there. Assistant Commissioner Dr. Madison will also be there. And it's just going to be a very basic look at what early intervention is and who can explore more about it and how the family plays a big role. So just continue to plug that for us if y'all don't mind. But as always, if you guys have any requests or anything I can help you with, please reach out to me.
Thanks, Lauren. If there are no more immediate questions or comments, we will go ahead and conclude the office hours for today.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you know, since Brooks has released the family report for us to have it available, do we need to start having our EIs complete the family report?
That is not something that's required to complete. So we will look into that more and get you an answer. But as of right now, that's not a requirement for the EIs.
Okay, I just want to make sure. And I have one other question. I gave an EI an answer already, but I wanted to make sure. I know when we're at the home, when we're doing telehealth, the child needs to be there to participate. When we are on a phone call with the family, I know when I was doing it, I got to hear great observations of the children playing and talking in the background. Does the child need to also be there when we're doing a phone call?
Because we're not recording phone calls in the same way that we're recording those visits, it's not a definite, but I do think it's very helpful if the child is there. But if for some reason the child isn't, you're still providing support to that child and family. So I think that definitely is still a supportive role, and you can still document that phone call even if the child wasn't present. But it is, the first priority would be that the child be present.
That's what I said. Thank you.
Hi, we recently had several families that moved to other districts that should we keep serving those families since we are doing telehead, or just go ahead and end services with our agency? Sometimes the family wants to keep us even though they move to the next. So I was just wondering, what is the procedure for that?
That is a great question, Rosaria. We've already had that come up a couple of times. I would be talking to the service coordinator. So the service coordinator of where the child is currently residing, before they move, can have that conversation with the family about, because we are doing tele-intervention, there is a little bit more flexibility from the service end. We have to make some adjustments on the TEIS side with the POEs, but that's definitely something that can be done. It's just a conversation that needs to be had with that service coordinator and that family and the service provider. And then if the family says, no, yes, we're moving, but I would like to keep this service provider as an EI, then that service coordinator would more than likely talk to their DA, and the DA would talk to Joan, and then we would have that discussion and make those changes as needed. So that would be, Joan, unless you have something else, that would kind of be the way I would recommend that they start that conversation.
Actually, that's exactly how we've done it. It's been on a case-by-case basis. Since teleconferencing has opened this door, we wouldn't ordinarily be able to do that, but teleconferencing it has opened some doors and allowed a kind of different way of us thinking about services. Of course, we have to think about within the district, the availability of services for the children there. We have to think about, that child and the transition, and they're just individual extenuating circumstances that we look and review each time that has come up. It's only come up a few times, though, actually. The age of the child, if the child is turning 3, those kinds of things are also reviewed. Their progress, all of that. So I would just encourage you to, as Jill said, talk with the service coordinator. They'll field it on to their district leadership, and then we will discuss it. Thank you for that. That's a good question.
It's a very good question. Allows so much options for parents that we didn't have before. So now we've got lots more options, and that's nice to be able to do for families. Are there any other questions? If there are none, we'll go ahead and conclude the office hours for today. And again, if you have questions, please send those to me. I will work those through leadership, and we'll get an answer back out to you. This office hours is being recorded, so I'll work with leadership to see how we will make that available to everyone who participated and who were not able to. A big thank you to our pilot agencies for working with us on this additional survey. Your support is invaluable, and the information that you're providing, you've gained from this experience, and that you're providing to your colleagues on the call is something that's definitely beneficial for them, and we certainly appreciate it. So again, I hope everybody has a great day and a great weekend, and please spread the word about the family webinar. We'd love to have as many families participating as possible to learn more about TEIS. Thank you. Y'all have a great day.
Yeah. Mm.